Okay, recording has begun. Let's stop that transcription. There we are. Okay, excellent. All right, so please feel free to write any questions in the chat. I won't be able to see the chat right now, but we will definitely answer any queries you have regarding referencing or even studies in general. We're happy to help you. And tonight we are focusing on the Harvard Anglia style. If you are also doing a psychology-based module, that's APA, then perhaps this is not the session for you. But for those who are struggling with Harvard Anglia or just want to get full marks and no deductions, then this should be a nice quick course. And this is just a slide showing our latest recruit, Minyo Nell, who has joined the team. I'm super happy to have her on board. She's also on the call tonight. Myself, Michelle Coates, you may know from first semester. So the two of us, we will assist you on Emrys Assist, and we'll also do info chat one-on-one sessions if you request it. We'll also help out with any kind of academic writing queries, and we have a writing center team that can also check your work for you before you submit. Okay, so just know that at whatever stage you are, you're welcome to reach out for support. What are we covering tonight? We're going to just skim through the real basics, and then we want to show you what happens when. So for example, there's different rules that apply in text references and reference list. And yeah, we're just going to briefly explain the different kinds of sources that you may come across. All right, so referencing, why do we do it? It's to give credit where it is due. And it also means that for every new idea that we use in our assignments or assessments, we need to say where it comes from, who said what. The facts don't just create themselves. We need to know where it came from, and we need to use a credible source. So a few weeks from now, 2 weeks from now, we will be covering in-depth databases and credible sources. So please stay tuned for that session. All right, what do we need to know? Our Harvard Anglia is different from any other Harvard Anglia that you may have come across before. So please always check your references with the IIE guide. What this means also is if you've used a tool, an AI tool, either ChatGPT or Cite This For Me, they will have generated a reference list, but it won't be correct. So we need to modify or edit afterwards. Okay, and then if the referencing is not good, then you can lose up to 10% of your mark. And yeah, so I did already answer my own question, why reference? Because you want to give credit to the original authors. And I think it's also good to know if you don't paraphrase enough, that could also be a problem. Paraphrasing, turning things into your own words is super important because if there are, for example, 6 words the same in a row compared to the textbook, that is a plagiarism breach. And you're not allowed to say word for word what someone else has said. You need to turn it into your own words. And there are various types of plagiarism. You can read the guide, the intellectual integrity policy. It does cover the different types of plagiarism. But for tonight, we're going to focus on what is best practice. Okay, so referencing AI, something that a lot of students are not too familiar with. If you get stuck, we do have our guidelines for responsible AI use, and that policy is number 23. Okay, so that is available to you on the IIE library page, and all we want to try and instill in the students is that AI is not a credible source. Okay, so what that means, we can't reference AI. I mean, technically we can reference it, but it looks really bad, especially for postgrad students. So we don't want to put AI in the reference list, and we really don't want to put in-text references that state AI. The only time this is acceptable is when the assignment says you can. Okay, so when in doubt, check with your lecturer or navigator. Are you allowed to use AI for this assessment, yes or no? And then please look for peer-reviewed journal articles. That means they are credible, good sources to use. And then any kind of AI use, whether it's for grammar or maybe it's brainstorming, finding ideas, creating a skeleton structure for an essay, that will be in an annexure after your reference list. And if you do want us to send you the AI disclosure form, we will gladly do so. Also, okay, I can't see the chat, but if Minyo could please share with you a couple of helpful links, such as our YouTube channel and even this presentation. So then you will be able to have all of these clickable links to the different places, making your life easier. You have shared
them. Yeah, I've shared
Wonderful.
them in the chat.
Thank you so much. The best. All right, so another way to find the reference guide is to go onto the IIE library page and then click the referencing and plagiarism tab. Yeah, so there are many ways to reach the same place. And then a quick note, what is an in-text citation? What is a reference? You probably know this by now, but I think the main thing is that you need to have matching. It needs to mirror. If you have an in-text citation in brackets inside the assignment, that same surname or website name needs to appear in the reference list. If you only have one or the other, then this could leave you open or vulnerable to a deduction in marks. Okay, and then this would be best practice. So your reference list should look like this. Yes, punctuation definitely does count. Try your best to copy this format. Some lecturers are stricter than others, so you might get away with it in the beginning. But for your end of the year research project, please make it as perfect as possible. Please make it look exactly like this. Okay, so what am I referring to? If it is someone's surname and an initial, there's an extra little comma. Who knows why? That's Harvard Anglia for you. But also check where the italics is. Okay, so for journals, the name of the journal itself is in italics. Whereas if you were looking at, let's say, an ebook, the title, the name of the ebook is in italics. So not the name of the journal article, the name of the journal that it comes out of. Small things like that. And then the format is always volume number first, then the issue number, followed by the page range. For any credible source, there should always be this information. If your source is lacking or missing any of the information, it might not be the best source to use. You are welcome to check with us at any stage though, and then we might suggest a different article for you to use in its place. And then don't forget the triangle brackets around the link itself. If you struggle with the autocorrect formatting of the Microsoft Word document, then when you copy and paste this URL, paste it as plain text, and then you will get the HTTP, etc. And then good practice, anything that you add in, so for example, your access date will always be this year. If you've used 2023 or something that is other than 2026, the person marking your script might think you've copied from someone else. So please definitely, this is the date that you personally accessed that source. So if you've clicked on it, the day before you submit, then put the day before you submit. There's nothing wrong with having a very recent access date. In fact, it's preferred because it means that your link is active. And that's the biggest thing that ChatGPT does. It kind of falsifies DOI links and other links. It kind of modifies or changes them. And that if the lecturer clicks and it does not take them to the correct source, they will immediately suspect AI use. Okay, and big big point here, I think we should have put it in bold. Please arrange your references alphabetically. If it is that they are out of order, that means you're not following the correct procedures. So yeah, we don't want you to lose a -5% for something as small as that. All right, and then in-text citations. This is what a well-integrated in-text reference would look like. Try not to start any of your sentences with someone else's surname because it almost means that you don't trust yourself. And we want you to be confident with your research and the ideas that you're bringing across. So you can use the words according to so-and-so, but I would even say introduce the sentence or idea, like give a topic sentence first and then say, according to these guys, academic libraries can improve their services by doing XYZ. And then if you are going to add another sentence from another different source, you can also put the entire references inside brackets at the end of the sentence, but before the full stop. Turnitin, our referencing checker, um, it doesn't distinguish between, sentences that have a full stop and then they don't know where it ends. So what I mean by that is if you place the full stop before your reference, it will think that this whole Anjani et al. 2022, Andrews 2024, it will think that's a new sentence. And then that means the previous sentence did not have a reference. If, for example, you put the full stop after smart libraries. So be very careful of that. But don't worry, et al., for some reason, it can distinguish whether or not that's in a full sentence. It will know that you quoted this correctly. And you'll see here, if you've used any quotation marks, you need to have the page number as well. Okay, I hope that was clear. By all means, raise a hand if you're not sure or you want me to go over something again. And then types of sources. With your Harvard Anglia Guide, we've tried to include pretty much any source that you will come across, and the table of contents is clickable. So what you can do for any of these, you can, let's say you want to know how to do a YouTube reference. So you click on the YouTube link and it takes you to page 18. And as you can see, the list is endless. There are certain things that students often ask for, such as module outlines or guides, and even how do I reference Canva. If you'd like me to go over that tonight, I'm happy to. But if not, you can always ask on another day, or you can ask us to check your references before you submit your next assignment. And for those who have gone right to the end of the Harvard Anglia Guide, well done. There's a little bit of extra info on all of these different things. And yes, there are technicalities, but these are how you make your references perfect. So if you don't have the year, what do you put in its place, for example? And there's all these fancy Latin words for that. Okay. Oh, and then I just wanted to mention there is a difference between reference list or bibliography. Now, in general, bibliography means any source that I've come across in my journey of doing this assignment. We do not want a bibliography. We only want the references, the sources that you have stated inside the assignment. So the reference list must always match your in-text citations. Okay, and then as you go through the guide, I'm just going to pinpoint the things that students usually get caught with. This is about when you reference a book. Only for the direct quotes do you put page numbers. If you are doing any other in-text paraphrased reference, so you've turned it into your own words, it's a book, you do not put a page number. Even if you think you're being extra accurate, Harvard Anglia states that only direct quotes will get a page number. Okay. And then something that is also different from previous years, in the reference list, we are not allowed to use the ampersand symbol. We have to say and, A-N-D. And it's always in front of the final author. So if you have a list of 3 authors, it will always be and surname, comma, initials. Okay, and please always keep the order the same as in the original publication. You don't need to alphabetize the individual authors. You can keep it like this. Okay, and as you can see, the in-text matches the reference list. Okay, all right, so Similar things apply for 2 or 3 authors and as well as 4 or more authors. However, if you get to more than 6 authors in the reference list, you only have to mention the first 6. All right. So that's just something that doesn't happen too often, but if it does, you only have to go up to the first 6, not list all 13 or all 20 authors, which would be quite extreme. Okay, but if you do have 4 or more authors, et al applies. Et al just means all the rest, and you can notice all the commas and full stops, etc. Those are very important. Punctuation, as we said, is super important for referencing properly. And then things like chapters of an edited book, those are also going to come in handy, especially when different authors have written different chapters in the same book. So in the book Research Matters, we might have a chapter author called Davis, but the editors of the book are these 3. And please note the order of the different authors or editors. Usually it's surname first, but in this case, you're putting initial and then surname of all 3. Okay, and then there's extra information at the end. So it's similar to a book reference, but it's got added extras. Okay. When it comes to the guides or the material on ARC, this is actually a really important one that was recently added to our Harvard Anglia Guide. So you'll notice when you are using it as a reference, you can either do the physical guide. Let's say it's from 2014 and it's a printout guide, then you would reference it this first way. But if it is online, through ARC that you've downloaded it, or maybe through one of the Emrys platforms, this is the process and this is the format you will follow. It must have a link. VLE, that just stands for Virtual Learning Environment. It's kind of like a generic term that we can use. Okay, but in text, when you are referring to the module content, it's the IIE, the Independent Institute of Education. Okay, so you can abbreviate it in text, but the reference list must have the full entry. Okay, and then websites, hopefully this is the most straightforward of the lot, but don't forget small things like the word online in square brackets, because it shows what kind of source it is. And you are allowed to use the organization's name if the surnames of the authors are not available. Okay, and e-journal, you can maybe know it by other names. Online journal, electronic journal, e-journal, they're all the same things. As long as they are peer-reviewed, credible journal articles, we are happy. Okay, so this one came out of the Journal of Qualitative Research, and you can see it's in italics. So that is a sticking point, that red area. Be careful of that. Oh, and always use DOIs. Those are permanent links versus a once-off website link. Okay, secondary referencing, basically 2 references in one. That's the easiest way I can explain it. Who said it first? The oldest source came up with the idea, so you mention them first. In-text citations, you have the oldest person, the less recent source first, followed by the more recent source. And usually it's the textbook that's in front of you that will be the more recent source. And they might refer to Keller from 2001, for example. Okay, so all you need to know is it's got the words cited in, and it's basically 2 in 1 for references. All right, here's the fancy Latin terminology. ND for no date, SL, forgot what it means, but it means no location. Sino location, who knows? SN, I can't recall what it, I never studied Latin, so for me, I'm not quite sure what they stand for, but if someone in the chat can help me out, that'll be great. But ND is generally used. ND for no date. Okay. And then how do you reach us? We have a new way to reach. I only found out about it recently. It's the referencing and AI support request. So you can ask us for that AI annexure, the any kind of supporting documents that you might need, or even if you're not sure, have I used AI too much? Please check with us. We will not judge. We will help you as best we can. That's what we are here for. And the usual things that students know the online librarian team assists with: academic writing requests, one-on-one appointments, info chats, and even research support requests. So I can't find this article, or please help me with this topic. I'm looking for certain theories, and I'm not having any luck with the online databases. Please help with research. Okay, so all you need to do is to click on the Student Support tab under Emirates Assist, and then depending on what you need, you can ask us for that. Please note we need at least 48 hours just to give us enough time to see your query, especially when it does come to the weekends. We might not always check the messages, and we don't want you to be submitting on Friday afternoon and then we don't respond in time. So please do give us the 48-hour window, and we will do our best to support. And now over to you. Do you have any questions? Yes, Yuniska.
Hey, Michelle, it's so nice to see you again. I hope you've been well.
Likewise, yes. Thanks.
So I just got a quick one here. I'm glad to see Zama is also on the line. So for one of the modules that we have for this semester, we don't have a textbook. So we basically have a module manual that we use for the subject. Should we, if we now reference any theories out of this module manual, how do we go about to reference a module manual that is designed and done by IIE that we've gotten?
Okay, yes, thanks for that question. So that short segment that stated module guide would apply in your case. So whether it's called a module manual or a module guide or course materials, it would be referenced in a similar way. So you can always state it as the IIE says this, the Independent Institute of Education states that. And that's for information you're quoting directly from that guide. However, if they point you to a secondary reading, so maybe there's a link to a website, then use that website as the reference because it might contain added information other than what is in the guide itself. Does that make
Okay,
sense?
now perfect. Makes
Okay.
sense. Thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome. Oh, thank you, Minyo. Okay, so SL is Sine Loco without place. And then the other one, oh goodness, I don't even know how to pronounce these. Nominee without a printer's name. Wow. Okay, so I'm learning new things every day. That's exciting. So, Uniska, how has it been? Because I know I've spoken to you in the first half of the year. How has it been so far this term? Are you finding that there's anything new that you want to discuss or ask, or are you doing okay?
Well, I've only recently started with my assignments again because the new ones are due upcoming next week, Friday.
Okay.
But yeah, no, you've guys been a great help during the last of the semester. And I just wish more students knew about all the services that you guys do offer because it really helps a lot because you're so rushed to get everything done. You really miss all the fine tuning that gets you
Mm.
all these distinctions within your course. So yeah, I just want to thank you and the team. You guys are really amazing and it's much appreciated.
Oh, thank you so much for your kind words. We do really appreciate it when we hear that kind of feedback. Thank you. But yeah, I think it is early days. But yes, if you did want us to do a assignment check and, you know, maybe give some comments on academic writing, as you know, we are reachable on Emrys Assist. Okay, and yeah, so thanks to Minyo for how to reference module manuals. What we'll do after this session, when the recording has finalized, then I will add it to the Postgrad YouTube page. So you are welcome to check back there if you ever want a recap of how to reference those things. And yeah, we're going to call it a night. I'm going to switch off the recording, but thank you very much for joining, and I wish you well with this second half of the year.
Thank you very much, guys. Have a blessed evening further.
Same to
Thanks.
you. Bye.